Welcome to the Leslie Hawkins podcast. Each week, my guest and I discuss one pivotal moment in their life, what they learned from it, and their words of wisdom. So you're an entrepreneur dedicated to helping leaders on their professional journey. You join a coaching group to sharpen your skills. At the same time, you're navigating the dating world, hoping to find a life partner. Then, within months of each other, your personal and professional worlds come crashing down. Betrayal of confidentiality, emotional abuse. You have to relearn how to trust your instincts, how to spot the red flags you once ignored. And in the process, you uncover something deeper, the root cause of these struggles reaching all the way back to childhood trauma. This is a story of discovery, healing, and the courage to transform struggle into strength. Welcome to another episode of the Leslie Hawkins podcast. I am so glad that you are here, and I would like to introduce our guest for today. This is Lisa Nicola. So Lisa is a leadership and executive coach. She is the founder of Her Lead, which is an annual event that brings together women to talk about topics that are relevant for women in leadership. She is also the founder of Her Rise, which is a program to help women build their relationship blueprint. And Lisa, you and I met, I'm going to say maybe 6 or 7 months ago at a women's event, and you invited me to Her Lead. Thought, okay, I'll head off and see how it is. Now, I've been to lots of women's events, and it was so good. And I loved all of the topics. And what I loved about it was so genuine, and the topics were incredibly relevant. And I don't know if you planned it this way, but the table that I was at was absolutely top notch. And I've stayed in touch with quite a few of the women from the table. And here's the thing. One of them is actually going to come on my podcast. So we're having a full circle moment.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yes,
And I love
exactly.
hearing that you enjoyed yourself as much as you did.
Yes.
You know, my hope and my intention is that you walk away. Anybody attending walks
Yes.
away with a connection or more.
Yes.
I mean, it's not always going to be perfect like
No.
that. And that's also to be expected and completely understandable. But I love that you
Yeah.
walked away with some
It was
friends.
so good. So I loved
Yeah.
it. So
Thank
thank you for
you.
that. And I'll see you again next
Yes.
year.
Yes.
So this podcast is all built on one question, which is, what is one pivotal moment in your life? Now, let's be honest, there is lots of pivotal moments in people's lives. And the reason that I chose that one question is because while we're going through the pivots, in some cases, people can feel like they're the only person on the planet who's going through this, like when you're deep in it. And I wanted to provide this platform for people to tell their stories so that other people who are experiencing some of these issues or challenges or pivots in their own life can feel a little less alone and understand that others have gone through this already. And so it's a great opportunity, honestly, to just tell stories and have incredible conversations. So
One of my favorite things to do.
exactly. I know
Yes.
you and I could literally talk for
We
hours.
could, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm very glad that you are here to join us. And so let me start by asking, what is one pivotal moment in your life, Lisa?
Yeah. Well, thank you again for having me. Yeah, so to your point, I'm hoping this is going to probably be one of the biggest ones, but that would be foolish for me to believe that because life is long and there are many transitions that we inevitably take. So I would say, 2 years ago, and I actually shared some of this in my sort of opening remarks at the event, if you remember.
I do.
Certainly didn't go into as much detail, so everyone who tunes in can kind of hear the full story. But I had probably one of the most traumatic times that I've gone through in my adult life that I can remember. Probably around this time. So we are inching into about the 2-year mark, personally and professionally. So on the professional front, I hired a professional coach
Mhm.
to for a group actually coaching experience to participate in. And I towards the end of that program, I had ended up learning that this was a coach that unfortunately had breached a confidentiality breach and was also being unethical in her practice.
Wow.
And I actually discovered this information because of another student that was going through the same group coaching experience.
Mhm.
And so, without getting into the full weeds and details of everything, but at the time, uh, there was an incident that had taken place between the student and the coach. She had traveled from Vancouver, I think it's Vancouver, where she's based out of, to Toronto, and they were supposed to meet. They didn't end up meeting. She was sort of left, not stranded, but a
Mhm.
bit sort of confused as to how to spend her time and what to
Right.
do. There was a social event that the coach had organized for all of us to attend. I had made the decision before then to not participate for
Mhm.
whatever the reason was at the time. And I ended up meeting with the student because we also had just not met. We'd only met each other and seen each other virtually.
Yeah.
And in the meeting, when we ended up connecting, she had shared whatever happened and transpired between them. And I learned that she had been speaking poorly behind my back,
The coach.
the coach. And immediately, as a certified coach, I know the
Yeah.
code of conduct that,
Absolutely.
we all sort of abide by when you go
Mhm.
through the ICF in particular and get that accreditation through that
Mhm.
organization. But that aside, I mean, as a coach and as any sort of professional, to be speaking behind a client's back and
Yeah.
saying anything that is unpleasant is just, it's like a no-brainer. You don't
Yeah.
you don't do that. So that was kind of exploding in my face because I was just had I not had this conversation, had I
Mhm.
not gone through the steps that I did in connecting with her and meeting up with her, I don't know if I would have ever
Yeah.
found out. And
Ugh.
so this sort of was happening while at the same time I had been in a very volatile and toxic, unhealthy relationship
Mhm.
with a man that I had met actually a month after I had met and hired the coach.
Ooh.
So the timing of it is also just really interesting. I don't
Mhm.
think that was like coincidental.
No.
I mean, hindsight is always like 2020.
Yes.
And at the time I was really looking at this as one big crisis, but really the themes that I was recognizing that were coming up for me were very
Mhm.
much similar. So,
Yes.
despite them being one personal and one professional, there was a lot that I was learning that I only realized much, much later. And I'll sort of
Mhm.
share that in a moment. But personally, I had found myself in this really unhealthy relationship. And basically, towards the end of that relationship, I had found myself in a place where I was sort of dumbfounded on how to move forward.
Yeah.
I was caught and felt entrapped in this cycle that I didn't know how to get out. So, this was a man that would, at any given moment, whenever there were challenges or issues in our relationship, would threaten to leave me.
Mm.
And when I would basically agree and say, okay, let's like end it, he would be coming back and chasing, and nothing would ever really change.
Right.
Right. And so, anyways, towards the end of that relationship, what ended up happening was that I was going on a trip to Italy. So, as I typically go every
Yes.
single year, I was going on a trip to Italy, and the fact that he wasn't invited should say say a lot.
That gives you some insights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had actually returned from a family trip to Italy as well.
Hmm.
And so that's also very telling. I wasn't included in that vacation. And
Right.
so at the time when this trip was planned with their family, we had only been dating for about 2 months.
Right.
So at the time, it was sort of a given that, it's relatively new for us to be
Yeah.
making such big plans. But, it was sort of agreed upon and spoken that if we were still together,
Mhm.
I would essentially we'd find a way to kind of
Yeah.
meet up or make the trip so that we would be together during
Mhm.
that time. Well, that didn't happen.
No.
And we had gotten into an argument before the trip. There was no real goodbye. There was no conversation. It was just he was off on his trip and I was actually preparing for my trip. And, when he got back, he was reaching out to me and saying, I'm really sorry about what happened. And I thought about you a lot on vacation. And, we ended up meeting for lunch the day that I was leaving. And he had offered to join me on my trip. And I was like, no, I'm
I
good.
think we're fine.
It's such a special place for me to go
Yes.
to. Like I have, I'm Italian, as you know, I have my own or my entire lineage and
Mhm.
ancestry line that is from there. And so it's just such a special place for me to go to where when I go, I am in my own world.
Yes.
All is well, it's
Right.
blissful, it's joyful. So for someone to be joining me on a trip like that and have the even slightest chance that it could be ruined,
Yes.
it's not a risk I'm willing to
Yeah,
take.
that's a hard no.
So in any case, we had met for lunch and, he was telling me that he wanted to, continue to be together.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, but we had never really broken up. So
Yes.
this was kind of the pattern, right? Is the threatening of leaving me when things
Mhm.
got tough and threatening to end things with me, but nothing really changing. We would still continue to talk. We would still
Right.
continue to see each other. So it was all words, but no action,
Okay.
right? Nothing ever really stuck. And so I went on my trip and, at the time, of course, I'm thinking, okay, this is a good break.
Yeah.
Gives me perspectives,
Right.
gives us space.
And you're
When
in a great place.
I'm in a fantastic
Right.
place. I'm in the most romantic country in the world. Solo.
Yes.
And I get back and, again, you have to keep in mind this whole professional
Mm.
thing of the coach situation is unfolding.
Right.
So I didn't share this, but, lawyers were getting involved now. I had filed a formal complaint.
Okay.
And that in itself was a process.
I can only
So
imagine.
I had been going through that process, doing a formal interview,
Right.
really outlining, the situation and what I had experienced.
Mm.
And then I'm trying to sort out and get perspective and figure out how do I really put this relationship to rest.
Yes.
Let's just end it. So that was my intention upon
Mhm.
returning. And I remember when I got back, I was contacting, I had reached out to my then boyfriend, and he was kind of dodging me and not being as receptive and as engaging as he
Mhm.
normally is. And so woman's intuition never lies, right? I'm like, okay, something's up.
Right.
And what I ended up learning was that he had gone online and met another girl and had started dating someone when I was on vacation.
What?
So I'm dumbfounded
Yeah.
and wanting to now all of a sudden get answers and clarity and basically the WTF moment
Right.
is flashing before my eyes and I'm bamboozled.
Mm.
Sitting here thinking 2 weeks ago, not even because I was only
Yeah.
gone for about 10 days. You're telling me that, you want to make this work and move forward and, and all of a sudden now you're in a relationship. So there's a lot of
Not
back and
great.
forth. There's a lot of me chasing because of course this is an avoidant individual
Yes.
and very, very emotionally immature and just doesn't have any of the emotional intelligence that,
Yes.
or the tools to really manage conflict. And the last of the messages was basically, I'm in a serious relationship.
After 10 days.
After 10 days, yeah. And I'm like, wow, I don't even know someone's last name in the first 10 days and you're in a
Nice.
serious relationship. So another sort of explosive moment. So
Yeah.
like my world is just really imploding on all ends, it felt like.
Right.
And so I was basically in the deepest of grief
Yeah.
for everything that I was going through. Um, the relationship on the one hand, despite the volatility, despite that it wasn't working for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
to have something like that kind of betrayal,
Yeah.
happen to you, it still stings,
Absolutely,
right?
it does.
And on the professional front, you hire someone, you entrust someone, and this is coming from a coach
Right.
who I can't even fathom doing something like that to a client, let alone in a group experience,
Mm-hmm.
and breaching confidentiality and, speaking poorly about any client that I've
Mm-hmm.
ever worked with. And so feeling that and going through that experience, I was sort of just like trying to make sense of like why this was happening.
Yeah.
What was I meant to learn through both of these experiences? And both of them were, quite frankly, despite them being very different relationships, the patterns were clear.
Yeah.
And so this is where I started really, not immediately, but
No.
over time, really understanding the patterns that I was finding myself in.
Mm-hmm.
These relational patterns.
Yes.
So really ignoring my intuition
Mm.
and ignoring red flags
Yes.
and not fully doing the due diligence that is
Mm.
required when you're getting into certain dynamics, especially intimately, but even
Yeah.
professionally.
Yeah.
In this context where you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to be sharing a lot, and my expectation and what I was investing in is this the right teacher, quote unquote, and the
Right.
right individual to
Mm-hmm.
really guide me on this
Yes.
6-month journey.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
was kind of the world that I was finding myself in for that time.
So in
Um,
both your professional and your personal life, there is betrayal,
yeah,
really.
yeah,
And so can we go a little bit back in time,
yeah.
starting with the professional? So you are a coach, certified coach. You know exactly what you're doing. So I'm just curious, why did you seek out a coach? And
Hmm.
then you talked a little bit, you mentioned red flags and intuition. So was there moments in your 6-month journey where you wondered, was there any red flags that maybe in hindsight, granted it's easy to
Hmm.
look back and figure it, that you recognized and went, oh,
Yeah, yeah. So with the coach in particular, so why was I looking for a coach?
yeah,
So when I had been seeking out a coach, we had just come out of the pandemic,
okay.
more or less. Like it was about a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to remember during that time, any social activity, any,
Yeah,
networking was not happening.
no,
And so that was just slowly starting to reopen. And for me, I was really looking for a group experience.
okay.
I had done sort of the one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
I very much have been someone that I have devoted time and development into my spirituality. So I often work
Okay,
with spiritual mentors and guides. And so now I wanted a group experience and I
okay,
wanted to be in a dynamic with like-minded
okay,
individuals. I wanted to be really getting a coaching experience from a coach to help with like business related growth and then everything else that comes along
mm-hmm.
with it, mindset,
Right.
all the things, right? So that really in simple terms was what led
Okay,
me to
that's the
getting
why.
the group
Okay.
coaching experience. Um, in hindsight, I think the due diligence that I probably should have explored further was
Mm-hmm.
just who else was in the group dynamic.
Okay.
So that was one angle.
Mm-hmm.
That fit for me wasn't there
Okay.
completely. In terms of the coach, I did actually do quite a bit of work. So I
Okay.
did research online. I had a
Yep.
call with her on Zoom. I met with her actually for lunch a few months
Okay.
later. So, of course I did my research like
Mm-hmm.
on just in her work itself. And when I had decided to move forward with her, my error was that I wasn't 100% sold.
Oh, interesting.
So I had the moment of like, you're okay, but I don't know if you're
Yeah.
right for me.
Interesting.
So that was essentially where I had ignored my
Mhm.
own intuitive guidance,
Right.
right? Because normally if I'm sold, it's clear, it's full of
Yeah.
excitement, it's
Right.
like a no-brainer
Right.
in most cases, right? And so that's basically how I
Okay.
made that decision.
Interesting.
And that frankly was the same pattern that I found myself in with even my ex in that
Right.
relationship. So
Right.
this was someone that when I met had uh love bombed me completely when we first met.
Love bombed.
Love bombed.
Okay.
Love bombed me to the hills,
What's that mean?
just like showering me with
Okay,
attention,
got it.
like
Right.
just all over me,
Yeah.
messages, compliments, just very attentive.
Yeah. Makes you feel great.
And I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but at the same time, my whole career, my whole life, I
Yes.
feel like you can describe it as she asks a lot of questions. I was in corporate
Yeah.
talent acquisition for many years as a coach. I ask a lot of questions.
That's the
I'm a
rule. Yeah.
very inquisitive and curious individual by
Mhm.
nature. And so I, remember asking questions about his past.
Oh.
And, I'm not one that when I enter into a romantic relationship, like I don't need to know the details.
Mhm.
I don't need to get into the weeds.
Yeah.
But there are a few key things that are important to me.
Right.
And generally that lies around like obviously how long the relationship was.
Yes.
What did you learn from it? And then what led to its ending,
Demise. Yeah.
right? And I was getting these very short answers. There was not a lot of depth to this individual. So that was my first,
Okay.
miss.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in surface level conversations and small talk.
Right.
And so there wasn't a lot of depth and context to the answers.
Right.
And, anytime I was asking, like, yeah, but so what happened? I'd get like, nothing happened. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. I'm like, no, that's not actually not the case.
Right. Yeah.
Any
There's
woman
always
is
more.
exactly.
Yeah.
And any woman knows that there's
Mhm.
always more to the story.
Right.
So there was this energy of just being very closed off and guarded.
Hmm.
And that was the signal that I inevitably ignored
You ignored. Okay.
and continued to blindly move forward. Yeah.
Okay. So there's now, if you go back into your other personal relationships that you had prior to this
Mhm.
ex-boyfriend, was there similar volatility? Was there similar red flags? Was there a pattern of behavior that this was the kind of person that you were attracted to?
So the pattern that I was mostly accustomed to experiencing was the emotional unavailability
Okay.
of these men.
Mm.
So the love bombing, not entirely, but
Okay.
I could have been and just didn't really recognize it for what it was. There was certainly a pattern of rushing,
Okay.
and normally not from me, but from the man.
Oh, interesting.
Really just rushing the relationship
Right.
and, demanding of my time, draining me of my energy, just wanting to really take a lot from me and
Mhm.
not really pour back into me. So this
Okay.
lack of reciprocity and this
Mm.
imbalance was often there in the relationship.
Okay.
These new patterns were really just more about me
Okay.
and my role in
I
it,
see.
which was staying longer than I should.
Mm.
And again, had I known what I ended up learning was that I would have recognized these signs
Yes.
and seen the red flags for what they were, and I
Hmm.
wouldn't have proceeded.
Exactly.
And I just wouldn't, I would have saved myself a whole lot of grief and a whole lot of time and energy and
Right.
sorrow and pain. But that
Absolutely.
wasn't my journey.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that those were basically the
Yeah.
patterns.
Okay. So there's definitely a pattern.
Yeah.
So as the professional situation is happening,
Hmm.
there's lawyers involved. You're feeling absolutely downtrodden. I can only imagine.
Yes.
The relationship has imploded. I what what then happens? Like, so how do you get up every morning
Yeah.
and manage through? Because I can only imagine, yes, the emotional toll, but there has to be a mental toll, likely a physical toll.
Mhm.
So how did you get up in the morning?
So, I'm kind of glazing over the intensity of what I went through.
Mm,
That time when both of those experiences were going on was extremely difficult. The intensity of the grief was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. I fell into a really bad depression. Um, to be honest, it's miraculous the way that I was able to still function because it
mm-hmm.
was kind of like I, managed to get out of bed when I did.
Yes.
I would have my coaching sessions. I still had bills to pay. I still
Yeah,
had to function and
absolutely.
operate and move through the course of my life. And when I had those moments in between sessions, I was back on the couch in like a ball, sobbing,
Wow.
just uncontrollably at times too.
Yes.
I immediately really went into healing uh, and explored multiple modalities to really
Okay.
support myself in getting through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, therapy was the first thing that I sought.
Okay.
I happened to be also just wrapping up my time with one of my mentors
Mm,
who really has been such a rock for me in so many ways. Even following our time together, she like kept that door open for me to message
so
her.
great.
And I'm just to this day so grateful for
Absolutely.
her time and energy and her guidance. I'm talking like I'd be messaging her like on the weekends and
Mm-hmm.
personal time that
Yes.
really she wouldn't have probably kept that door open for most
Mm-hmm.
clients and really just allowed me to reach out whenever I
Yeah.
needed to.
That's
And
so good.
she was responsive and it was really wonderful. But I did energy work. I did, again, spiritual mentorship. I did therapy. I was really pouring into my body.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about nurturing and it was about supporting myself mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, physically. I was doing yoga, I was doing restorative yoga,
Okay.
you name it, I was doing it. I did equestrian therapy, which came a
Amazing.
little bit later, but,
Okay.
nonetheless, healing is often a journey, and
Yep.
this was, again,
Definitely.
probably one of the, again, just most difficult times that I've gone
Mm-hmm.
through, so my healing was also different. I had
Yes.
to explore different things to support myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um you know, the other thing that I will say that was really pivotal for me is in learning everything that I was experiencing from these relationships, both the personal and
Yes.
professional. What I had also been working through because I didn't realize that it was so connected to the choices that I was making in relationship
Okay.
and the choices that I was making in partners that I was going
Right.
after is that I was also working through my childhood sexual abuse that I had experienced many, many years ago. So, in discovering this, it added a layer of understanding to really sort of highlight what was influencing my choices,
Yeah.
what was influencing the kinds of people that I was going after.
Mm.
I know it's emotional.
It is emotional.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, and, it was only now that I was made aware and made the connection to, what had happened to me as a child and how
Yes.
that was impacting me, quite frankly, throughout my entire life. And despite all of the personal development, the
Mm.
spiritual study, all of the work that I had done, I don't think I was going deep enough.
Okay.
I certainly wasn't going deep enough to the point
Mm.
where I was connecting the dots of that trauma
Okay.
to how I was seeking out relationships and the qualities that I was drawing in from individuals that I was getting close to. And that doesn't just sit in the romantic front, but I'm talking about business and friendships and family dynamics. So the healing was also just really diving deep into understanding the impact of that and how it was showing up in these modern day like relationships that I was
Mhm.
finding myself in, again, personally and professionally, and making light of that and finally kind of giving me this clarity that I felt was
Right.
missing for so long.
Right.
So that was huge for me. That
That
was
is
really, really huge.
huge.
The other thing that I'll share that I don't give as much credit, but it is actually so foundational to who I am and how
Mm.
I really operate in my world. Faith was a huge part of my journey.
Okay.
So yes, the therapy and all of these different like healing modalities that I
Mhm.
explored and then continue to engage in, it was through prayer and my connection to God that quite frankly, I don't know where I'd be without that
That's
support.
incredible.
So I I have a very close relationship with God,
Mhm.
and He has been instrumental for me and really supporting my healing journey and just
Mhm.
navigating this time and that experience and being able to basically rise from
Mhm.
that experience. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for
So,
honoring that.
yeah. Well, first of all, I can't imagine. Um, well, I can't imagine what that journey must have been like. And I am so appreciative of you sharing that information with us and being so incredibly vulnerable. I'm trying not to tear up, to be
It's
honest,
okay.
because I
It's okay.
just cannot. I'm at a loss for words, and most people who know me know that doesn't
Yeah.
happen very often. So thank you, thank you very much. And how how do you move forward
Mhm.
when you're going through all of this work and really, really deep work,
Mhm.
getting to the root cause, and then having to relearn how to trust your instincts
Mhm.
because it's not an overnight fix
No.
at all. And so
No.
you're needing to heal, but while you're healing, you're rebuilding,
Mhm.
and you're rebuilding your ability to trust your instincts, to trust others. That's a lot that
Yeah.
you are doing all at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet here you are with a smile on your face,
Mm.
and you would never know.
No.
No, you're
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's time, right?
Mm,
It's time, but it's work that I've been doing and along with the time, right? Letting
yes.
time take its course, letting nature take its course. Um yeah, I don't know if I have a perfect answer for that. It's really just been, progress after progress, a lot of mindset work, a lot of
Mm,
trauma work,
yes.
a lot of self compassion and grace
Mhm.
and patience,
Yeah.
and really a lot of self love and care for me,
Hmm.
and understanding that these experiences have only shaped and made me stronger
Okay.
and been able to, you know, quite frankly, be able to support others that have gone through
Hmm.
similar experiences. It's deep in my work and my ability to take
Yes.
clients through
Hmm.
experience that have perhaps been traumatizing for them, whether they realize it or not, and just being able to walk them through that journey as best as possible. Um, but in the beginning, you just do what you can.
Yeah.
It was a moment by moment.
Right.
And when I had the energy, I would do more. And more might be, okay, maybe I'll go out today and I'll
Yeah.
have dinner.
Right.
With a friend or something like that. And others, it was just, like today or this weekend is right now, it just needs to be about me. I need
Right.
to be, you know, um, in a solitary space,
Mhm.
and I need to focus on my heart and really just heal and take care of myself.
Mhm.
And that's what I would do. So the trusting of myself, what's interesting is when I look back at the experiences and in both instances with the coach and my ex,
Yes.
it wasn't for me that I didn't trust it,
Mm.
because I saw it. I saw the signs,
Yes.
but I simply didn't recognize it as like a red flag.
Okay.
I excused it and
Mm.
I basically negotiated it. And
Okay.
I dismissed it in some cases, and in others, I minimized the
Right.
importance of it.
Okay.
So I didn't feel like I had to necessarily trust myself again. I had to just simply trust with what I was seeing and
Yes.
recognizing that whether you think this is like monumental and a big deal or not, you need to recognize it for what it is
Yes.
and not move forward
Okay.
because of it.
Right.
I think in other cases where the self-trust came in was being able to make better choices
Okay.
in the relationships in general,
Mhm.
in the people that I allow to come into my
Yeah.
orbit and my space, again, either personally or professionally.
Yes.
Um, I think when you go through experiences that really challenge you
Mm.
on multiple levels and make you doubt and question your judgment, there is a level of self-trust, but I
Yes.
think more than anything it's being able to trust that you can continue to move forward
Mm.
and still experience love and still
Right.
be able to have success and still be able to um you know trust others in guiding you, but it
Mhm.
comes with a lot more discernment,
Yes.
a lot more a lot more patience and time. And again, like it's really just acknowledging the signs, whatever they may be,
Yes.
and trusting that that's enough.
Right.
Like you don't need to have five big
Right.
explosive signals to
Mm.
say, okay, this is really
Right.
not for me. It
Right.
can be the subtlest
Just one.
of
Mm.
conversations or something that's said, or just even the feeling where it's like, you know what? I felt this way before,
Yes.
and I'm just going to honor it this time.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's kind of how I
That's
have assessed
great.
it.
Yes.
And that's how I see it. But yeah, like her lead wouldn't have been born from this
There
experience if I
is.
didn't go through
Yes.
everything. Like that
Exactly.
inspiration really came from that moment of despair on my couch, quite frankly,
Right.
towards the end of 2023.
Right.
And Rise is also the birthing,
Mhm.
frankly, of the amount of knowledge and
Yes.
like
Learning.
wisdom that I've been
Right.
able to gain and learn from the years of relationships that I've had.
Mhm.
And to that I'm grateful for.
Yes.
Right. So yeah. So
That's
I don't
amazing.
know if I answered your question.
You
Hopefully I did.
absolutely did. And I mean, that was one thing I did want to talk about is it gets towards the end of 23
Mhm.
when you're on a ball on your couch.
Yeah.
And yet it's like spring of 24 and you launch an event
Yeah.
called Her Lead.
Yeah.
And it has started this movement where all of this work that you're doing, and it's an annual event. And I think it's incredible because I think the risk is always while you're doing your healing that it's really self-enclosed, right? You're doing all the work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And to take all that energy and all that learning and launch an event,
Yeah.
which anybody who's ever launched an event, it's incredibly hard
Mm-hmm.
to do all of that. I think in such a short amount of time is just testament to your character. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
But her lead was really birthed from this experience. And it's so, in some ways, wonderful
Mm-hmm.
that there's been so much learning that you've gone through, and through all of that trauma, that there is good that has come from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, the moment where the inspiration hit, I tell people, like, it was a message that I felt like I was downloaded, and that was a very clear message to basically bring women together.
Okay.
And the mission behind it is a testament to what I have gone through, because I know I'm not the only one that's been through hell and back. We've all gone through things before, personally, professionally. It really doesn't matter.
Right.
But it's not. We can't ignore what people go through, especially women. I feel like we have our own unique challenges, but my experience is indicative of going through something so devastating, and it can't not change you.
Yeah.
And so if you look at leadership and a woman in leadership, whether she's an entrepreneur or she's in corporate, we already have our own challenges when it comes to business. But she's also got a whole other life where she is, shifting identities when she gets married or has children, or she's going through life transition because she's maybe lost a loved one, or whatever other life events that, are inevitably part of our human experience. And so her lead is really about honoring all of those seasons and experiences and life moments that we go through, and really being able to put a spotlight on them, and how does that impact a woman in leadership. So that's what makes her lead really unique, is we talk about topics not just in business and at work, but the things that happen in life. And what she goes through, and how that shapes how she shows up as a leader. And I think really there's so many topics that deserve more airtime as a result. And I'm just excited to continue to create this movement and grow it as much as I can, and bring more women along. And the women that are going to be attracted to this type of event are the women that really care to invest in themselves more wholly, and want to connect more authentically to all of who they are, and not just the business or
That's exactly
corporate side.
Yes.
And along the way, be able to connect with other women in that space who all happen to share the same goal, right? Of being there. So.
Yes, and it's not just a women's conference about leadership or about corporate or how to be a better leader or anything. It's looking at the entire life and everything that is part of a woman's experience, period.
Right? I mean, who,
so good.
Like this year you were there, right?
Yes.
Who would have thought that we would ever be talking about perimenopause?
Crazy. Yeah.
And menopause in a woman's journey, and how that particularly is impacting her at work.
Yes. Right.
So I feel, and I'm not the first one, and I'm not going to be the only one talking about it, but that's just an example of a topic.
It's
that
not
you'll
a topic
find.
that we wouldn't have talked about that 5 years ago.
No.
Let's be honest,
No,
right?
exactly.
So no, and so absolute congratulations to you.
Thank
Her
you.
lead is a tremendous event, and I know it will continue to grow and see it really shine.
Yeah. Thank you.
So my last two questions for you. Through this entire journey, your entire pivotal moment that was really two things sort of colliding at once, what have you learned about yourself, your community, and maybe even like the broader community?
Yeah. So, I mean, this experience, both events, I call it one experience, but two
Hmm.
events that ultimately created this like explosive experience, we'll
Yes.
say, was really the catalyst of me just diving deeper into
Okay.
some unconscious patterns that I had and that I am finally facing and have faced and continue to
Hmm.
work through. But what it taught me as a result was I'm certainly much stronger than I think I gave myself credit
Yes.
for, and realized that that I am.
Hmm.
Um, it also taught me that relationships are never going to be defined by, for me at least, and my point of view. I don't define relationships by how long you've been in one for, by always getting it right, meaning that
Hmm.
you select the best people to work with, you hire the best people to work for you or with you. You enter romantic relationships, friendships, what have you. Like they are meant to teach you through and
Hmm.
through. And so if we look at really defining relationships as a classroom, then you can elevate your perspective and understanding to realizing that they are going to challenge you,
Hmm.
but they should also help you grow.
Yeah.
And we don't often grow through the best of times. We
Yes.
grow when we are challenged, when our fears are brought to the light and to the surface. So I think, on the other hand, it's also just taught me that there's a lot to learn when you get into relationships,
Yes.
and that's actually normal. It's supposed to be
Right.
that way.
It is. Hmm.
Also, I would say that, love is not supposed to hurt and that it's not supposed to be volatile
No.
and, explosive, and that chemistry is not connection, and
Right.
all of those really cliche sayings that I think I was
Hmm.
blinded to for so long.
Yes.
In terms of what it taught me about community, community is important for sure when it comes to healing, and you do heal in community,
Yes.
but I do think there's a time for that as well.
Okay.
So for me, in my experience, it was really important that I had that space to sort of be in solitude.
Okay.
I didn't want to be around anybody.
I get that. Yeah. I totally
I love
get
you,
that.
Leslie, but I don't want to hang out
I
right
know,
now.
right?
Let's do lunch like later, like 6 months, give me at least.
Right.
So there's a time where you
Yes.
engage and
Mm.
you connect with your community. And so but also your community is something that takes time to also build.
Yeah.
So, there's a saying that like a former client of mine shared with me at the time that I really relate to in all aspects of life. And that is, Lisa, I don't want the support if it's going to create more work for me,
Oh,
which means like,
interesting.
don't hire or get an additional resource if it's only going to be more work. And the more
Right.
work could be they're not the right fit, they're an
Yeah.
underperformer. Like you're giving me a headache, it's not helping me, right? And
Yes.
so that's kind of the one perspective that I sort of keep in
Hmm.
mind when I look at other things in my life. And so with community, I don't want just anybody in my
No.
community. The women and also men that I would want to be a part, and that are some are in my life today that
Hmm.
I'm continuing to like really curate and build those relationships, are supportive, are
Right.
genuine, right? They love all of me and not
Yeah.
just parts of me.
Exactly.
So I think there's a time to leverage and lean in your community, and I think there's also a time where you need to honor that space where you're in solitude. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong.
Yes.
Like there's no right or wrong. It's
Yeah.
just timing, right?
Right.
So
That's
yeah,
great.
that's how I
That's
would
really good.
answer
Yeah.
that.
Totally agree. My last question for you is, what would be your words of wisdom for the audience today?
Well, definitely trust your intuition.
Yes. Check. Yeah.
Trust your intuition. Um, and really thinking about what your intuition means for you. So what
Okay.
is that relationship and how does your intuition speak to you? And if that's foreign to you or you're not sure, build that relationship and
Hmm.
learn. If you don't know where to start, then hire someone that can help you,
That can
right?
help
Get a
you, yeah.
guide or a mentor of some sort.
Mhm.
But trusting your intuition, trusting, the instincts that you have, the nudges, the
Right.
feeling, even if it's so subtle that
Yeah.
you might think something's off, like really listen to that. The other words of wisdom. I have so much, Leslie. Where do I start? The other thing I would say is, take your time when you're building your relationships,
Mm,
and this goes for any relationship, professionally or personally.
right.
Take your time and um, and really do your due diligence, whether it's, just research on someone, whether it's
Yeah.
asking the hard questions.
Right.
You can learn so much when you ask someone a question that
Mhm.
they can't answer.
Right.
And not because they can't, but they don't want to.
They choose not to.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think that's really telling,
It is.
right? So that's the other thing that I would say. I would also say that your pain can be put to purpose
Yes.
and becomes your power
Mhm.
ultimately. So I think any devastating or traumatic experience, big T, little t, that anybody has gone through can be an inspiration and can be turned into something of purpose if you want it to.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
So I think that is also something to keep in mind. I think walking through the fire and being able to come out of that
Mhm.
um, with wisdom that you can impart to others and help others on their journey, whether you are a coach or not, you don't have to be, is really such a blessing,
Yeah.
I think. And I think if you can really take the time to heal the parts of you that allow you to move forward in such a way
Mhm.
where you can look back and say like, wow, I really went through a lot, but I
Yes.
also learned a lot.
Mhm.
That I think is such a gift to the world. So
Agreed.
yeah.
And you are a perfect example
Thank
of all
you.
of that, because from all of that pain, from all of that work, you have found your purpose.
Yeah.
And your message is so important. I think today,
Mhm.
I think there's lots of people who are watching and listening who need to hear your words of wisdom. And so I appreciate you sharing them. And
Thank you.
I am so grateful for you for being here with us today, for being so vulnerable, for sharing so openly, and really being an incredible leader and mentor and coach, and just a great example of a wonderful human
Thank you.
who has been through the shit
Yeah.
and
That's one way of putting
has
it.
shown that there is another side, and that you haven't just come out the other side, you've come out shining.
Mm,
And I am so grateful for your friendship. I am so grateful that you're
me too.
here,
Thank you so
and
much.
keep shining your light, because you are an incredible human.
Thank you so much, my friend. I love you.
Asu, love you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope this story resonated and gave you something to reflect on. If it did, please share it with someone you care about, and be sure to subscribe so you can continue to hear more pivotal stories involving one question, one turning point, one powerful story. Join me next week with another guest on the Leslie Hawkins podcast.